Hi everyone, this is Bobby from bn-games.com, and we're here doing another classic capture. Today we're playing Omega Boost on the PlayStation 1. This is a highly underrated title, and not very well known, unfortunately, because of poor marketing decisions. This game was developed by Polyphony Digital, which is really only known for Gran Turismo and as a first-party developer. Right now we're going to play through the intro sequence, which we're going to kind of leave as uninterrupted as possible because it's pretty long, and you can tell there's a pretty big budget allocated to this. It's pretty good.
Impact area, Manhattan. Region has been demolished.
7 minutes till Omega Boost launch.
Sistema de reserva listo.
Correspondence from the citizen.
Sir, we've confirmed time shaft activation of Alpha Core.
A gravity wave has occurred. The hyperspace correspondence system will be down for 3
Certain
minutes.
system. Coordinate Charlie 1 9 Tango Zebra Zebra.
Hyperspace catapult launcher ready. All personnel except catapult crew must exit the deck immediately. Repeat. All personnel except catapult.
First Lieutenant Lester, please board the Omega Boost.
Wetware is online, C-scan background is nominal, systems 367 and data Foxtrot jacked in. Okay, you're hot.
Want a souvenir?
Marilyn's autograph. Got visual.
Coming through. But I'm going in a year before her first picture.
Then I'll take a Norma G.
Launch standby.
Roger that.
I'm not picky.
You're a prince.
Hey man, did you pack extra socks?
Yeah, and the family Christmas picture. Control Omega Boost is ready to walk this bad dog.
Target 1946. ENIAC, the first artificial intelligence. The enemy has already activated the time shaft. Your mission is to prevent the Alpha Core from causing historical alteration.
So after that extremely long intro, it pretty much explains the entire premise of the game, and it's about as much story as you get in the entire game other than reading the manual. And at this point in time in history, researching what the game is about in total. This game is been called a Panzer Dragoon clone, and to some extent that is true because one of the lead developers on Panzer Dragoon Way, which I believe is Panzer Dragoon Part 2 on the Sega Saturn, one of the lead developers, I can't say his name, you have to look it up, he was actually one of the developers. Now the reason for this, the reason why people compare it is because you have a free lock-on aiming system where you hold down the fire button and you paint targets, and then it fires a bunch of beams at the additional enemies, like right here. So the whole idea, just like Panzer Dragoon, is to paint your targets, at least the minions, the minor ones, and shoot them down. You can fire the cannon on its own with a rapid fire, and it is a bit of an on-rails type of situation, same as Panzer, although it's a lot harder to tell that it's on rails when you're in space. And then you got bosses like this one that you will encircle, and you do have points where you actually have free roaming, where you can just fly around the enemy and choose how to attack it, at will, and they deploy different tactics. In fact, this game's highlights are all the bosses for the most part. Never owned this when it first came out. Didn't really know about it until a lot later down the line because, according to my research, it wasn't marketed very well. And this is the only, as I mentioned before, only Polyphony Digital game that is not a racing simulator.
And you know how good they are at those.
Yes. It's actually a really good game. The first couple levels are fairly easy.
They do a good job of introducing you to the idea of how they want you to play it. Which, if you hadn't played, was it the Saturn that? The Saturn that Dragoon had come out on was good, so that you could get used to the idea. But it handles really well. I like that it has a little more roam, like it has a 360-degree movement, which is something that Panzer had kind of limited. It wasn't always available.
That was mostly just on rails.
Yeah, this has a little more room. It makes it much more organic because you actually have to dodge and you have more room to have fun and actually enjoy the game rather than it feeling like a chore.
Yeah. And giant mechs are better than dragons.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Now a giant mech dragon would have been great.
They didn't have the budget for that. It looks pretty good even for this for now. I mean it's a later generation PlayStation game, and Polyphony Digital. I mean, if you've ever played any of the Gran Turismos, they know how to. They know how to program for the original PlayStation, well, all the PlayStation consoles. They usually get the most out of the hardware, and I kind of wish they would, do something else, besides racing games. They have the talent to really push the hardware, and you can see that here. For a PlayStation 1 game, it still holds up pretty well. Now, for most of the classic captures, we play PS1 games on the PS3. This game originally controlled with the D-pad, and I'll be honest with you, the D-pad works, but what I ended up doing was switching it to analog. Analog control is preferable because painting targets with D-pad, especially when you're wildly flying around, which you'll kind of see in some segments, it's more difficult, but it does support the DualShock controller on the original PlayStation 1, so it's not like the PS1's emulation is, the PS3's emulation is, cheating it in any way. So if you do play this game, especially if you're playing on the PS3, switch it to analog mode. It will be a much better experience. And you can tell these cutscenes, they really put a lot of money into this, and it didn't sell well at all because nobody knew about it. I mean, there was no marketing behind it, and you ask your average person, about this game, they don't know about it. Another way you know that a lot of people don't know about it is the simple fact that it is dirt cheap. I've seen these go for on eBay $5. In fact, I paid about $5 for my copy. In the case, nearly mint. And that's kind of sad for a quality game like this. Now, the critics that did review this game when it first was released, they complained it was a little short. It's 9 levels. I'll admit, after the 4th level, things really get difficult. The difficulty does ramp up quite significantly because it is technically a shooter shmup, and there's a lot of memorization. You need to memorize the levels at a certain point to avoid targets, and you'll kind of see that towards the end. And that you go through this shaft, this like through a spaceship. Kind of reminds me of Star Wars, and struggled a lot to try to stay alive, and I didn't make it in this video. But right here, I think this is my favorite level so far. I haven't completed all the levels because some of them are difficult. I have gone through the stages to see what they can do, you know, how they are. I also should mention that there is a special mode, which you'll see in a little bit, which basically is you gain that top meter, the flashing blue one, and then he does this crazy like super attack. You also will gain more target. We call it targeting reticles as you go on. The better you do, the more enemies you kill in a level, you know, the higher the completion rate per stage will unlock more of those more beams that you can unlock to attack enemies.
It basically gives you a reason to go back and retry some of the levels that maybe you didn't do so great on.
Yeah, and you eventually will get more, and then you know, it just makes it easier to kill other enemies. If you're doing poorly, you'll be stuck with the default, and things will just take forever, to some extent. This right here is just a little sub boss, and I don't know. It's very cinematic. The camera goes all over the place. If you get vertigo, probably not a good game for you. What do you think when you first played it?
I liked it a lot. I actually, like I said, I liked it a little more than Panzer just because of that freedom. It's a good way to put it, I think, is it's Panzer with Star Fox's free all-range mode.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think that's how I like to put it, at least. Especially with the boss fights, it's, you know, it's all-range mode, and you have the lock-on mechanics.
There's a special. It just turns into this crazy.
God, fuck you! I am Sonic the Hedgehog.
And then just wipe this thing out.
Yeah. The skill of some of these bosses isn't gigantic because you have to keep in mind that you yourself aren't a robot. So, you know, at first I was expecting them to be kind of big, but when you put that into context, it's like, well, you're in a giant fucking robot. They can't be that much bigger than you.
And you have to keep in mind, you know, everything that's going on with all the enemies on screen, all the special effects. I mean, we're talking about a PS1 game. The frame rate is consistent.
Oh yeah,
consistent 60, and that really helps. I think in this kind of game. If it couldn't perform, this game would really lose a lot of. I think it would just lose a lot in general. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't feel the same. But you know, it's a good game, and for $5, I mean, you could do a lot worse. It's not in any digital format. The only way you can buy it is if you purchase it on disc, and then you'll have to play it in that format. So you can't get it for your PSPs or your Vitas at this point, which is very unfortunate.
But never say never.
Never say never. Hey, you might put a comment that it's up in like 6 months.
Yeah,
that has happened before.
Sony might see this and be like, "Oh, bro, we gotta get on that shit right now."
Yeah, I kind of skipped one level here. There is a level between this one and the last level I showed here. I didn't really care for it. It's one that's dark with a bunch of lightning, and took a number of tries because the boss was difficult to say the least. But that's Omega Boost in a nutshell for $5. Like I said, you could do worse, and it's a shmup, highly unappreciated. And if you have a PS1, PS2, or PS3, it is worth checking out. PS3 make it easy, and I fully endorse it if you can pick it up. I wish Polyphony Digital would do more games, and this is a good example of what a team that really knows the hardware can do if they're given free license. So anyway, that was a classic capture. Please subscribe and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Are you okay?